Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome to Cyber Week 2024 transportation event. This is undoubtedly a different Cyber Week, as it is a different and challenging year. Nevertheless, we carry on, and part of securing our mere presence and our prosperity in this land lies in continuing the development of our technological edge, a big part of which is cybersecurity. Therefore, the mere execution of Cyber Week in these circumstances is to be admired. And I salute the Tel Aviv University and Blavatnik ICRC team, led by Gili Drob-Heinstein, for pulling it off in these difficult circumstances. I also wish to extend my appreciation to all the speakers and to you in the audience for being here, especially those who have traveled from abroad. It is not taken for granted. My name is Tamir Goren. I am Director of Strategic Programs with the Israel National Cyber Directorate. The INCD, for those of you who are less familiar with us, is the government agency in charge of protecting the civilian sphere in Israel. We strive towards a trustworthy and secure digital space that allows for all the advantages of a connected and prosperous world. This is our vision. As part of this effort, the strategic programs we have launched in areas such as aviation, maritime, transportation, and healthcare aim to create an ecosystem of innovation, which includes government entities, industry stakeholders, solution providers, and academia, domestic and international. The Iron Swords War and the related events in the Red Sea have once again demonstrated why defending maritime transport is critical for Israel. Israel is a geopolitical island. It receives 98% of the volume of its imported goods via the sea. In the US, the Baltimore Bridge collapse, while tagged a technical issue, provided a somber example of what carefully crafted cyber attack on a ship might lead to. Therefore, we will dedicate the first part of the transportation event to maritime cybersecurity and host an amazing assembly of maritime professionals to discuss maritime cybersecurity challenges and solutions, as well as the complicated world of maritime cybersecurity regulation, and that will be the second panel. In the second part of the event, we'll hear from CITES, Israel's Cyber Center for Intelligent Transportation Systems, about automotive cybersecurity. Stay tuned. And with this, we want to start the first panel. I want to introduce our speakers, and then they'll introduce themselves. Ori Fragman, CISO of Hapag-Lloyd. Silvie Levy, Deputy General Manager of the Cyber Division at ELTA of IAI. Ayalon, CEO and founder of Cydome. And Dave Abramowitz, Chief Technologist, Public Sector Trend Micro. All right. So let's start with a bit of a broader introduction. I will let you introduce yourself and your company in a few minutes. Ori, please.
Sure. I think it will be better if we dive into the content, so I'll try to make it swift. Also good to be here. I think we have an opportunity with kind of an intimate crowd to maybe get into more details at all. So I'm Ori Fragman, CISO for Hapag-Lloyd, one of the 5 largest liner shipping companies in the world, with headquarters in Hamburg. We operate in about 140 countries where we have offices, in 400 offices overall. I'm not from the industry. I actually joined the company about almost 2 years ago. Beforehand, I was working for a food retail, an e-commerce company, one of the largest one, with 420,000 employees compared to the 16,000 or so that we have today in Hapag-Lloyd. And so it gives, for me, also a bit of an interesting aspect as to how we look at our industry here and what Hapag-Lloyd does. And before that, I was working for quite a while on the other side, on the dark side, if you like, selling services and products, cybersecurity. So I was running a cyber consultancy business.
Hi, I'm Silvie Levy. I'm the Deputy General Manager of the Cyber Division at Ayalon. II is the biggest aerospace company here in Israel. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. We in the Cyber Division protect cyber and develop cyber solutions for our products and national level projects. I'm in charge of all the emerging technologies, including aviation, maritime, smart transportation, and more. I have a large experience developing software, many years in startups and other companies, and I'm very happy to share some of our knowledge here. Thank you.
So, welcome everyone to the event. My name is Ayalon, CEO of Cydome. A little bit about myself. So, first of all, maybe something interesting that Cydome, the company, was born here in Tel Aviv University in a program called Capsula. And basically, we started in protecting cybersecurity, or providing cybersecurity solutions for the maritime industry. So, from vessels to offshore facilities, ports, and risk assessment in general. My background is technical, mostly. I'm coming from IBM before that. And today I'm representing also Israel in the CISO committee for the cybersecurity and the ISO for the maritime, number 8. And that's it. I hope that if there's any special interest in the items that we speak here, you can contact me and ask me for everything. Thank you.
Shalom, good morning everyone. David Abramowitz, I'm the CTO for the public sector at Trend Micro, where I've been now, this is my 25th year. And my hair used to be dark black when I first started. Touche. Needless to say, I've seen a few things. Back when I first started, there was no such thing as email attachment that had a virus in it. So we've come a little way since then, and now we're protecting companies globally. We have an office here in Tel Aviv, and for me personally, it's very meaningful to be here at this time, and so I'm very happy to be here and to share this with you.
All right, thank you all. By the way, you need to speak close, so either take the mic with you or you can take it off the stand if you're more comfortable. So Ori, let's start with you. You talked about the company, 280 ships, over 16,000 employees, 140 countries, moving almost 12 million TEU per year. How do you sleep at night? First question. But seriously, what are the main threats to the modern and connected ship industry that do keep you up at night?
I'll start probably by saying, well, I sleep good at night, except for the 3 threats that I have at home, but they are little ones and it's a different story. I think it's also, if I put it in context, right? I mean, if I look at the shift that I've also made, and also then reflecting on the company, right? It's mostly B2B rather than B2C, where I've been working also a lot with the B2C world. I think that the threat landscape is also different and its magnitude. But you have also very different and interesting threat actors when it comes to that. I find it very a very comprehensive, let's say, landscape in terms of the threats. The most sexy one, if you like, everyone will always talk about you can take over a vessel, those kind of things that you can, of course, in the OT environment to a certain extent. I think that's definitely a very valid one. But if I'll put that for a second aside, I'll actually look at the amount of data that we have and the magnitude globally. All of this industry is becoming much more digitalized. That's actually also one of the reasons I joined this industry, because I've seen that also with the financials when I worked with in the past, and I've seen it as well in e-commerce and retail. It means that we put a lot of data and also a lot of importance on the digital assets that we have, and they have usually, I almost want to say, far most impact on the operation. If you think on an isolated terminal or an isolated vessel attack, of course they have magnitude worldwide, but if you look at not knowing where your vessels are at all, or not knowing where your containers are, or what kind of data you have about those are the things that are, from my perspective, I put a lot of emphasis on in my role.
So focused on data rather than the OT side of things.
I wouldn't say not focusing on the OT. We definitely focus a lot on that. But I think we also have, as an industry, a lot to catch up with, right? I mean, if you look at connectivity, right? If you look, the industry itself, I don't think got used. Yeah, we have a lot of legacy, right? And now everything is becoming connected. You know, and we've seen it also in other industries. Yeah, the IT with OT, that convergence that you see around it. And then some of the threats that we've seen in other industries before and just become also more today more important and also very relevant for our industry. So it's not, we don't put focus on the OT. We put a lot of focus on that as well. But I think that we cannot turn, you know, the eye to the other side, just knowing that there is a lot of catching up also that can be done, just because today we are also equivalently important or equivalently interesting for the different threat actors in that sense. For the less sophisticated attacks. Got
it. Okay, and you mentioned knowing where the ships are, and Silvie, you're actually, as part of your PhD at Ben Gurion University, you're doing a very interesting research around AAS and AAS security. Can you tell us a bit about, maybe first explain in a few words what that is for anyone not from the maritime industry, and then what you found and what are the risks?
Yeah, AAS is an automatic identification system. Is a very important system used in maritime. The system is based on self-organized time division multi-access protocol, which where autonomous nodes can join and leave at any time, and it is used to broadcast information regarding position, course, cargo, and more data. And the main thing it was built for was to avoid collisions at sea. And it was built at the 19s without security measures, without any authentication or encryptions, and it has some very interesting cyber threats and the cyber attack vectors that might be used, because the AIS is connected to the system to such as ACTIS or other command and control, and through this AIS you can get into the vessel's system, and also you can disrupt maritime transportation. You can falsify data, you can lure vessels to navigate to different areas and use it for piracy or other attacks. And the main challenge is to identify such anomalies using machine learning and mathematical approaches from other fields, such as smart transportation, where using such protocols for autonomous vehicles and B2X, and to identify those threats and to develop security measures and platform to secure those threats. And this is part of what we are doing. That's the main thing.
Okay, so we have a system that everyone uses, not encrypted, not authenticated, and the ships are broadcasting but also receiving it from other ships.
Yes.
So I think the risk is clear.
And everything is connected, as Ori said. So the system is connected to the vessels, and through it can be connected to the network, and then to the shipping company, and so on. So it's a large attack surface, and we need to identify such threats and to protect such threats. So
All right.
this is our research.
Interesting. Okay, now near another development in recent years is the entrance of low Earth orbit, LEO satellites like Starlink that provide a lot of connectivity. From your point of view, what threats and risks does that add to maritime cybersecurity?
Yeah, so first of all, I think that the LEO connectivity, hyperconnectivity, bring us hyperconnectivity into the picture, something that we never had until now. Until now, all the communication to the vessel was very slow, and mostly only thing that you must communicate to communicated. And now we are moving into a new era where everybody can use the internet, same as we are using here, which is completely different. And this brings a lot of value from one side, a lot of technology, a lot of innovation, a lot of digitalization that you can enter into the vessels, which is amazing, but also bring very steep amount of threats and events that we see in the vessel themselves. And we're talking about a very fast adaptation. I don't think that today every company that we talk to is already implemented or is in the process of implementing some sort of LEO connectivity. And again, this brings with it a huge. By the way, we're talking about at the moment about 8,000 vessels, and we started recently. So 8,000, we're talking about more than 10% adaptation, a very quick adaptation.
Especially for the maritime industry.
Exactly. And this brings with it, we are talking about a very quick adaptation without understanding what are the risks. So without any strong or secure backbone. So you can put everything on top of this secure backbone, and we see a lot of events that are happening, etc. And I think that the rest of the panel here can, we talked before that, and I heard also what the rest of the companies are doing at the moment, and we're talking about something that is actually changing the way that we see connectivity, and obviously cybersecurity and risk in the maritime industry.
Okay, very good. We'll get to the solutions in the next part, but before that, we talk a lot about ships. And as Ori said, that's sort of the sexy topic, and you sync a ship with cybersecurity. But then there's the side of the ports. And Dave, you joined hand with Riskana, which is an Israeli startup, as part of the BIRD Cyber. BIRD is a binational R&D foundation. And you have a project that was funded by the INCD and the DHS to look into port cybersecurity. What have you found so far? It's just a few months on the road, so it might be a bit early, but please share some initial insights.
Sure, and since I sing in a rock and roll band, I understand about keeping the microphone close so we can hear me. Like I mentioned before, I've seen some things. One of the first things that I saw when we visited our most recent port was a man with his hair on fire because he's trying to do 10,000 things as one person. He is trying to answer every text that he gets. He's trying to take every call, even when we're in a meeting. He'll have to step outside because he's the one person who takes care of everything, and so steps out of the room and takes care of that. And I look at what his daily life is like and what information he has in front of him, and it reminded me of the trip we took yesterday. I'm here with the delegation from the U.S. Chamber, and we visited Beersheba yesterday, and I'm looking at the displays in the SOC, And I'm seeing this is not something the ports have in front of him. He doesn't have situational awareness. He doesn't have at a moment's notice status on everything that's going on all systems across the port. IT systems, OT systems, logistics, planning, scheduling, MPOS, POS, the port operating system, all the different pieces that they use. And this poor soul doesn't have any way to look at a few monitors and be able to determine what's going on. Situational awareness. And so that also got me thinking, we're in the business as a security vendor of selling products and solutions to people like this who are saying, great, thank you very much for your software product that now adds 17 more hours to my day that already has 36 in it, and I don't have anybody else to help me actually administer and run these products. And that leads to something I think which is very important, where we need to focus, and get to that maybe later, on services. Now, from an IT perspective, we see a lot of things that I would say I expect, just having seen these things before. And what I mean by that is a disparate number of different products from different vendors. And not only does he not have the situational awareness, but he's also got to visit 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different management consoles to even get the status of those different pieces. So that issue. Patch management is still an enormous challenge, especially for the ports who have to take so much time and are always very behind. Threat actors obviously know about that, and they will take full advantage of exploiting a known vulnerability that isn't patched. And there are several systems that are way, way older, running Windows XP, we've seen at ports. And so when you realize that Microsoft isn't going to be distributing any patches for any vulnerabilities in that system anymore, there's your exposure. And so they're worried about that. And so all of these things from an IT perspective, IT infrastructure are one, and then you've got the OT infrastructure. We visited one port where they had no idea there was an OT interface on one of the cranes. There was also another one where they were using VNC to remotely access the crane from a different building. So there, when Silvie talked about the AIS, and I'm familiar with that because some of our researchers have written papers about the AIS spoofing and all of those kinds of techniques. And so when you think that when we first got started with all of this, it was rubbing your hands together in some spit and dirt and glue, and that's how we put everything together without realizing the security implications for that. So getting to know that whole infrastructure as well from an OT perspective. But all of these, the ports are asking for the same things as many organizations that we visited and many foreign governments, local governments that I've spoken with around the world. Very simply, they need education. So much education. They need threat intelligence, timely threat intelligence. This person whose hair is on fire doesn't have time to wait 4 hours for my product to refresh itself and tell him what his risk is at that moment. It's 4 hours old. And that's not even about data being lost per se. That's about people dying, right? These are lives at stake. There's data safety, but there's human safety in this too, and that's something that we have to keep very close in mind, that we're not just building products and solutions to protect data. We're building to protect governments who are wanting to protect their people.
Very good, thank you. So obviously a lot of challenges. Unfortunately, so many that we spend most of our time on the challenges part. But now we move to the solutions, and we'll need to keep it fast, but I apologize, I'm going to take 5 more minutes in advance. So Ori, let's start with you. You described the challenges around data and also around the OT side. So how do you approach this in such a huge organization, complex, chips running around the world? What's your approach?
Yeah, I'll tap probably into what David was just saying. Yeah, so first of all, right, we are also investing more now in terminals, of course, as a business, but of course the safety of our crew on the vessels themselves is also of highest importance. Yeah? So eventually when we talk about safety of people, of human, we take it very seriously. So we invest actually a lot in that front. We invest in the technology in there, but you mentioned something that is, I think, critical, and I think that's the culture and the mind shift that I see, at least in this industry. I think that there is a lot of rationalization that is happening for the last at least couple of years that I've seen. Understanding more of the impact, understanding a bit more of our duty of what we need to do. You spoke about, right, like cyber hygiene, that really important, that really the vessels themselves. Yeah, there's a lot of catch up on the fundamentals that I would say are there in cybersecurity that we just need to take care of. So, from my perspective of what we do eventually, we have a very clear program, and strategical approach for how we look at it, all of it holistically, right? Because we have the vessels, we have terminals, we have to look holistically at all of those and where they are also in their maturity. There is a lot of complexity in those as well. Yeah, that could be also your own vessels and chartered vessels. This entire supply chain, I think, is also a call out for how to operate, in my view, in your entire supply chain. Because we also, the collaborators, the competitors, everyone in this industry, we have a lot that we tap on each other, we rely on each other. So I think there is a lot for us to do more on that front, actually. And so there are more collaborations that can be done, and I've seen it also in other industries. And I think also across industries, there are many things, many problems that we try to solve that are not unique to this industry. We can learn from others, we can collaborate more, just like the hackers do on the other side. Yeah? So it's probably better for us to also take that another level up. I mentioned the data, right? It's not just the data, right? If I look at ourselves as a company, we're quite the, if you like, the software powerhouse, yeah? We have about 1,400 people in tech. Hundreds of those are in software development. So we have a lot to do, again, to learn from other industries that are doing their own self-development, and they have their own suite of applications and software that eventually interact with other competitors, are interacting with other customers, and we have also the liability through them with the different ports. So this entire, if you like, connectivity that comes with between everyone, and you mentioned also, right, the better connectivity introduces also more risks. And so I think that's where we definitely need to step up in terms of the technology, as well as just the discipline, I would say, that we have to have. And secondly, also to make use of it. Yeah, it means now that maybe we are able to actually reach those ports or vessels that were beforehand not as connected or not as easily connected, to boost security, because that was also part of the problem. How do you maintain the hygiene of your estate in that sense when it's disconnected most of the time, or you don't have the staff that can operate it? So those are the areas that we look at of the all scale of it, OT, IoT also as well, right? We have trackers that we put on all of our reefers, for example, really is a leading company. There are many of those dots, and then connecting all of them together. You want to have this full picture around it, and understanding also that the threat landscape is very complex in terms of who tries to get you there. It's they're really like a candy shop, if you like, right? So it's very interesting for us from that perspective.
Amazing. And Silvie, in your day job, in your non-researcher hat, ELTA does provide cyber solutions for many industries. As Ori said, there's a lot to learn, and you have a pretty broad view. So what's your approach, and what is unique to maritime within that approach?
Our approach is to take our experience from defending platforms, join with the expertise. Our product is joined with the Israeli shipyard. They bring the maritime knowledge, we bring the cyber knowledge, and we look at it from various aspects. We don't look only on the network communication and securing IT. We did a thorough analysis on OT systems, all the systems, and how to monitor them, how to find alerts, and which kind of alerts, how to filter them, and the multi-layer alerts approach for a captain in the cabin, for the SOC of the company shipping, or even the operators, and even in a situational awareness for the management to understand what are the risks, what should be done, and how to filter it. And we understand that there aren't cyber experts on the vessels, and we have to let them know that something is going wrong, and they will manage. They know how to navigate and how to continue their trip and their route. And the other thing that we are looking into is training and crew training, management training. We developed dedicated training for those personnel, for CISO personnel, for the SOC personnel, for the crew personnel, and even for the management to understand what are the cyber threats, how to handle them, and this all new. It's we are providing a holistic solution that looks into all the levels of the system, all the connection. Tamir talked about Leo. It's one major cyber threats, but there are another things that we have to do. So we looked at all those levels, combine them, monitor them, and build the alerts according to the dedicated personnel that need to handle it.
Very good. Now, Nir, you've also been in the maritime cybersecurity trenches for a long time, maybe one of the first companies to offer on board, on ship, cyber protection. Do you feel like now that the appetite is growing? Is there more openness for this solution, more awareness, or we're not there yet?
So I think that a lot of change in the last several years. We started from a point where we needed to explain to each company what is cyber, what is the risk, why is the risk, etc. At the moment, there's a lot of things that are changing. We heard from Ori here how they see the problem and how they are already educated and understand that there is a risk. I think that many companies have suffered already with cyber attacks and needed to mitigate it and understand that they need a way to adapt to this new risk and new threats and to help themselves taking expertise from the external world. A part of it, we're talking about a regulation that is changing. So IMO already released it in 2021. This year, 2024, we're talking about a lot of changes in the geopolitical or regulation aspects. We're talking about the US. We're talking about E26, E27. A lot of regulation that is entering, that is touching cybersecurity, NIS2, that is touching directly on cybersecurity on vessels. And in the same time, we need to understand that we need to continue pushing. It's not enough. We need more and more and more. We need the companies to understand what they should do. We need the regulators to continue working on new regulation. It's the base. We're starting. And something that we see, for example, at the moment, which is connecting what David said about this person that doesn't know what to do with all the tasks, is to provide also services. Again, this is something that we understand in seeing the market and the new needs for solution and services. So providing only a solution with a single man that handles a port or handle 200 vessels is not enough. We need to be able to provide them a full solution that will give them the cybersecurity aspect and also the service aspect. And we have a shorter in expertise on vessels and on the companies themselves, and we as providers of solutions need to fill this gap.
Got it. Okay, excellent. And finally, Dave, last question to you, and then we'll have a whole panel on regulation, and they will expand. But we talked about the need for working together, pushing together, and as we mentioned, your project is with Riskana, a small, like your Trend Micro, a huge US company, Riskana, a small Israeli startup, 2 governments involved through BIRD, How is all that working out? How is the teamwork? Is it effective at all?
Yes, thank you. We've learned a lot. One of the early challenges we encountered in our collaboration was aligning our respective technological platforms and security protocols to seamlessly integrate our cybersecurity solutions into maritime infrastructure. Given the complexity of maritime systems and the critical importance of security in that domain, this was, it's not an easy feat. But that challenge became critical in advancing how we worked together. So through a series with Risgana and the port, through a series of collaborative workshops and cross-training sessions, our teams were able to share knowledge and best practices, not only to solve the integration issues, but also to foster a deeper understanding of each other's work ethics, work cultures, and expertise. And that's something that's really important, because that brings us together on a whole nother level, and it allows us to work through challenges together. So moving ahead, we see the success of this model as having significant implications on future projects and future partnerships. Being able to work together in an environment where the push is to share knowledge and share goals and mutual respect, and that's an environment where we can witness some groundbreaking innovations.
All right, so I think we heard a lot of challenges, but I do sense a bit of an optimistic approach with the collaboration, with the awareness that is growing, and a big part of that is the regulation. That's where the governments need to help push this sector, and that will be our next panel. I want to thank you all. It was very, very interesting, and we will hand it over to Deb. Thank you so much.